Trey Yingst is on the ground in southern Israel with more on the hostage situation. Hey, Trey.
Yeah, guys, good morning. We do know the Israelis have dropped leaflets across the Gaza Strip urging any Palestinians with information on where these hostages may be held to send it along via WhatsApp or over text message. Even on this leaflet, there's a QR code that can be scanned. You can hear in the distance some outgoing fire by the Israelis. They continue to shell and strike the Gaza Strip. But again, they're encouraging any civilians, Palestinians inside Gaza, to give them information about the location of these hostages. It gives you a sense of just how little information the Israelis have. They're trying to gather whatever they can ahead of this expected ground offensive. But there are reports today that indicate the Americans may be encouraging the Israelis not to push forward with a ground offensive, or at least to be patient, given the fact they will face bloody urban warfare, and it will be an incredibly challenging time frame ahead. We've seen some of the images. Overnight new strikes, more than 400 of them against Hamas and Islamic Jihad cells, trying to hit as many of those locations in the center of Gaza City and also along the border with Israel. And it does come amid this glimmer of hope, amid the backdrop of a horrific story, 2 Israeli hostages overnight being released as part of a Qatari deal. And we heard from one of the hostages that was released, this 85-year-old grandmother from the city of Nir Oz. Take a listen.
They stormed our kibbutz. They kidnapped me, laid me on my side on a motorbike, and rammed into the fields toward Gaza. They blew up the fence. Dozens stormed our houses, hit the people and kidnapped people like me. There's no difference between young or old men or women. It was very, very painful.
This is a grandmother from the kibbutz of Nir Oz, just along the border, someone who is not a soldier, not a combatant, but was still taken hostage into the Gaza Strip, where her husband is being held at this moment. We've talked to other family members of hostages from Nir Oz that are currently being held by Hamas. And despite the propaganda that the group puts out, showing them giving tea and crackers to these elderly women last night, this is all a ploy to try to make the world think they are humanitarians. But we know exactly who they are. We've seen what they did to the southern part of this country and the terror they inflicted on the people. Guys?
Trey, I'm curious. You know, over the years, we've watched your reporting and your relationship that when you talk to folks that are within inside of Hamas, and I know you've come on the program and talked about how they've blatantly lied to you in certain occasions about what took place during these attacks. What are they saying now about this hostage situation? Have you had any contact with them about that specifically?
Yeah, we have, and I've pushed Hamas officials inside Gaza City about the hostages, and they even go as far as to claim they don't have hostages, but this is all part of the war. If you hear any of those explosions in the distance, that's outgoing artillery by the Israelis being fired into the eastern side of Gaza. But Hamas continuously lies, and we have embedded with Hamas leadership inside Gaza. That may have been an airstrike behind me. And we have talked with senior officials, not just from Hamas, but also Islamic Jihad. And they're constantly trying to spin the information on the ground, especially given the fact that there's a war that's erupted 18 days in. And every time we ask for information and support for the claims that they're making, they're not able to provide that. And I think back to the hospital explosion that left so many innocent Palestinians dead who were sheltering there. It ended up being an Islamic Jihad rocket that misfired inside Gaza. But immediately, in the hours after, Hamas officials were texting me on WhatsApp and on Signal saying this was an Israeli airstrike. And I said, where's the evidence? Can you provide me with any evidence to support what you're saying? And they couldn't. And so we go to air with the information that we have. And they continuously try to spin reporters who are here reporting on what's taking place.
Sure. Trey, right now the Washington Post says the administration is preparing for a worst-case scenario where apparently an official in the administration says the administration is very, very worried that this thing is going to get out of hand. And the worry is that if the war escalates, they are talking about essentially evacuating hundreds of thousands of Americans who live in that area. There are 600,000 who live in Israel. There are 86,000 in Lebanon. They would get them out by air and sea and stuff like that. Of the people you talk to, the Americans who live in Israel, do they have an eye on the exit? Are they going, yep, we might have to leave soon?
Yeah, look, I want to talk about this in 2 parts, but in terms of Americans in Israel, if the airport closes, the main airport in Tel Aviv, Ben Gurion Airport, they would be forced to go to Jordan, likely, if they want to leave and then fly out of Amman, and that is one path out. Let's talk about two things that we're seeing in reports today. One has to do with what the Americans are reportedly telling the Israelis. There are some reports that indicate they're trying to encourage Israel to avoid a ground operation, understanding that the casualties will be extremely high.
That's right.
There are other reports talking about the warnings that American officials have given to top Israeli military leaders here, saying that this will look like Mosul when the Western coalition tried to destroy ISIS. Bloody urban battles, tunnel systems, civilian houses that are being used as bases by these militants. And the casualty rate is expected to be extremely high by Israeli forces if they do enter Gaza. So we have to acknowledge these reports because it's a real fear by Israel's allies that they will take high casualties early on and they will be bogged down in street-to-street fighting. Right. Now let's zoom out a little bit and talk about the region. Iran has proxies across the Middle East, not just in Lebanon with the militant group Hezbollah, inside Gaza with Hamas and Islamic Jihad, Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen that have missiles and drones, Iranian-backed Iraqi Shia militias in Syria, and that's not counting the ballistic missiles that Iran has. And so if this does turn into a regional conflict, the Americans are going to want to get civilians out of the way and ensure that their military assets are in place to support Israel. And that's why you have so many moving parts right now, so many mixed reports on what is being told to the Israelis and what they're preparing for after they do and if they do invade Gaza. And so that's why you are hearing this mixed reporting about the situation on the ground. And the preparations are underway, understanding that there is a real possibility that Israel and the United States get dragged into a regional Middle East war.
Trey, is it possible they could eradicate Hamas without having to go in on by foot? Could they do it just continuing the bombings?
Strategic.
Not without killing thousands and thousands of civilians. And that's part of the issue at hand. There are some estimates that say Hamas and Islamic Jihad have 40 to 50,000 fighters inside Gaza that are hiding amid the tunnel network and inside these civilian buildings, and they're armed. They were for years smuggling weapons in through the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt. They had tunnels that were so large, you would hear stories about senior Hamas leadership taking grand pianos in through tunnels. Wow. They could drive cars in through these tunnels, so they were smuggling weapons and supplies for years. And now they're making weapons inside Gaza. We brought you those images of the RPGs that were made inside the Strip. Yep. And these are all the types of things that Israeli forces are going to face if they do enter Gaza, and it's why the preparations are continuing. We've been talking with the reservists. I've been texting with Israeli soldiers to get a sense of what their training looks like. And those reservists that haven't been at daily military training, they're getting up to speed now, understanding that there will be very difficult battles ahead.
Yeah, they could wipe out the place. Thanks so much, Trey. Appreciate it.